Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the John Jasniak Show. Episode 1. Been getting asked forever about the podcast, so we had to fire it up. And I'm here with my friend Sumner Healey.
Welcome, guys. Welcome. It's an honor to be here at Cornutus for episode 1. Talk land, talk life, talk everything. I'm excited, man.
Dude, love it. Thanks for coming out from Vegas, right?
From Vegas, yep. We came out with a small entourage too. We've got people on our team. We've got Rylan from Land Insights. We've got a whole squad that came from all over the country to come hang out here.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. And what was crazy is, obviously we're both land investors, and my guy, Brian, my team was like collabing with your team, not looking at deals.
When two worlds collide.
Yeah. So I'm sure we'll get into it, some deals. But I want to know how you got started, because I actually don't really know. I think 2019 is
2019.
What I know as far as like your origin story.
Yeah, dude, well, I mean, it really tracks even before then. I've always been, I guess I've had like that entrepreneurial bug since I was a little kid. I had all the classic shit, split up family. I had a gnarly speech impediment. I was put in special needs classes. I always just was like kind of a weird kid growing up, and business was the outlet for me where I felt like I was decent at it. Like every weekend I was having garage sales. I was flipping stuff on eBay when I was 7 years old. When eBay was like brand spanking new. And I never thought I'd get into real estate outside of like buying rentals. When I was living in San Diego, I'd made a little bit of money from an e-com business, and I wanted to start buying rentals. But I never thought I'd get into like real estate as a business. I always seemed like kind of a crummy business. I'd listen to Bigger Pockets, and the guys were making like $200 a month in cash flow from a rental. I'm like, how the hell can you live off that? But cool investment. But I started door knocking on houses in Poway. It's a little town in eastern San Diego. No luck, man. The only response I got was people yelling at me, chasing me out of their yard.
Trying to buy their houses?
Trying to buy their house. I'd leave a little handwritten note, just like, hey, look for the distressed house. I didn't think anyone was living in them. Majority of people were living in them, and they were just pissed. I got no positive calls back. I did that for like a solid 3 months. At the time, I was working a crummy job, my first and only like real job I ever had. I moved back from Virginia. I needed a job to tide me over. I knew it was short term, and I'm like, you know what? Well, let me put some of the money that I have as a nest egg towards rentals, get out of this job, and go figure out my next move. And so I got destroyed in the rental side of things, but I still listen to Bigger Pockets every other day, just listening to all the episodes, going back in time. I think I literally listened to like probably 75% of the Bigger Pockets episodes.
Dang.
I listened to one with a land flipper. Who's the German guy?
Jack Bosch?
Jack Bosch. It's Jack Bosch. It's 2019. Yeah. And he's talking about tax delinquent lists. And I'm like, I didn't even think about that.
Well, that's what Podolsky used to talk about too.
OG, it's the OG. I think tax delinquent lists are kind of stupid on small lots. Like a $30 tax that's delinquent, like the person's probably dead more than anything. On big properties, it makes sense. So I first pull up San Diego County tax delinquent list. I didn't know anything about picking markets. I was buying land close to me, right? They made it so difficult to get that list. I had to like go in person, and they fucking give me a CD or something you got to pay for. It's just like so many hoops to jump through. So I just started Googling. I found a tax delinquent list for free as an Excel sheet on Elko County website. Download that puppy. Nevada, Elko County, northeastern Nevada, middle of nowhere. It looks like Mars out there. And just started handwriting letters, man. I didn't get a deal from it, but I got multiple calls back. I didn't get that from rentals. I was like, okay, there's something here on the land side.
Well, that's just proof of the business, right? That's what I always talk about. Just start, like handwrite, send something out, even if you get a hate call back, because then you know that
people are listening.
It's listening, it's working. Yeah. San Diego County probably have crazy high property taxes too.
Yeah, super high property taxes. And I think like it's probably a good place for tax delinquent lists, but it's just really, really hard to get. And what you notice is some counties, it's like just come to the website, download it. Some counties like mail a check. We'll send you back a hard copy or crazy things like that.
We're in Hudspeth County. We're at Cornutus, this town I bought out here for our podcast studio. And I went directly to them. It would have been a few years ago to try and get the tax delinquent list. And they sent a CD in the mail.
Yeah.
You have to request it. You have to send them a check, and then they will send you the CD back. And like, that's not the hard part, but the hard part is like plugging that in a computer and it spits up like a text file. And then you try and click and drag to an Excel and it doesn't populate anything that makes sense.
Those are probably the best markets for tax delinquent lists. As hard as they can possibly make it to get them.
That's it.
But in the beginning, I was just looking for the lowest hanging fruit. And so I got a call back on a 5 acres. It was owned by the dad. I think the dad was either deceased or really old. I think he was really old. I knew nothing about probate or anything like that. I knew nothing about land. I didn't even know how to underwrite a deal. I just thought, if I offer him a couple $100 per acre, I'm probably going to be safe. We were going back and forth, and we couldn't make anything work. But that proof of concept, I said, what, I'm going to try this. I'm going to actually go and pre-purchase some mailers. I'm not going to handwrite 1,000 mailers. I did less than 100, but it still felt like a friggin' ton. But the fact that I got multiple calls back off of that was bananas. I found a mail house in San Bernardino County, like 65 cents for a 2-page letter. Came up with my own 2-page letter. I bought a purchase agreement from Seth Williams from RE Tipster.
Okay, yeah.
Made my own little cover letter and all that stuff. And I don't know why I was hooked on Nevada. I'm like, Nevada's probably a great place to work. And I associated the fact that I got a response to Nevada being a good state to work in. No correlation. It was just like someone called me back, Nevada must be the place to work. So I found this town called Pahrump. If you're an OG land investor, you probably know what Pahrump is. Shitty little town west of Vegas. Crazy story. It was like a boom town in like the 40s and 50s and 60s. Guys came in, subdivided land, would go to the strip in Vegas and hard sell tourists. Get them in a room and hard sell. Dude, they're selling quarter-acre lots for like 40 or 50 grand back in like the 60s.
Damn.
So these people, their bases were super high. Most of them had never even been to it. And so I struck gold, man. I reached out to them and everyone wanted to sell. Got my first deal, $1,027 and some odd cents. I forget the exact increment. And there's a husband and wife that was going to the Philippines. Bought that thing, sold it 3 weeks later on Facebook. Never was the same. I was hooked after that, man.
Yeah. It's crazy because that subdivide story where they did that, here in Texas, they actually did a lot of the same stuff. There was like 3 or 4 guys who are pretty famous and known, and they went in and bought thousands of acres at a time. And now it's illegal to do this, but they did just like 1 acre lots or 2.5 acre lots or 5 acre lots. It's like now we do have to deal with regulations.
Yeah. Probably no roads cut and platted road access, no road cut. You see that all the time. I don't know if you know the story of Costilla County. It's kind of the same thing. This crazy land baron who lives in New Mexico now, I think. Dude, I mean, he created, it must be like 40 or 50,000 lots that he created in Costilla County. That whole valley in Costilla was pretty much one dude that subdivided all of it. It's wild, yeah.
So you were fascinated with Nevada though, but now you're in Vegas. So
now
maybe
I'm in Vegas, ironically,
yeah.
And I still haven't been to Pahrump. I owe it to myself to drive out
Still
there.
haven't been there.
And you know, it's funny, actually this town is starting to appreciate. Like it is kind of on the up and up. We've got a member inside of our group who every year makes probably 150 to 200 grand a year just in that little town. And there's probably 100,000 plus little like individual privately owned properties. But now those same things that I was buying for $1,000 sell for 15, 20 grand. So it's been interesting to watch it change.
Yeah. And so, I mean, I think the argument there would be like, well, why not hold it as opposed to, just flipping it, which we obviously do. We want to sell it as quick as possible.
But if you see what the capital has done between now and then, you're like, well, there's a good argument not to hold it.
Yep, the economic returns and the IRR, the yield on it.
Yeah.
So did you ever end up, you never end up buying like a rental or a house or anything else?
I did coincidentally buy a house through land mailers in Texas. It was in, what's the name of it's got the big lake in it. What's the name of the county?
This is Texas?
This is in Texas, big lake. That's
West, central, where we're talking?
It's central and east kind of. Go and pull it up on a map. It's actually a beautiful county. I can't remember the name.
It's not Travis County. I mean,
not Travis. No, further east.
You bought a house there?
Well, so I reached out to a property owner that looked like it was vacant. It wasn't actually like, they didn't have building permits, but there was a house with a tenant in it. So I bought the thing for like $1,500. I think I was collecting $500 or $600 a month in rent roll from it.
Okay.
So pretty crazy return. It turned out that there was a septic system on the property, and the guy was dumping it in the neighbor's yard for like years. And she got so fed up that she finally found my contact information and called me and said, "This is fucking insane. I want to buy this property from you to end it and evict this guy." So she bought it from me on terms for like $8,000. So probably all in, I made, I don't know, 12 or 15 grand. That was like the only rental I've ever had. This year though, one of the big goals for me is to, I'm not a great investor per se. I just put my money into index funds, and it's an okay way to invest.
You do?
Yeah.
Okay.
Just keep it simple. Just index funds, Bitcoin, Ethereum. I just kind of dollar cost average in every month.
Interesting.
Yeah. Because it's easy, right? But I think there's just like owning real estate and the depreciation aspect. Like if you have a high cash flow business like land, you need something to offset that, right?
Yeah.
And so moving that money into rentals this year is a big goal of mine. We have a member inside of our group. His name is Jay. He's third of an owner. Yeah, I hope he doesn't mind me saying this. He's a third of an owner in a self-storage deal in North Carolina. Owner of finance, put no money into the deal. And that deal, he hasn't paid taxes from that one deal in 3 years.
Yeah, it's crazy. Just the depreciation.
Cost segregation, the whole thing. It's just bananas.
To be able to get something like that in owner financing would be insane.
The down payment was $250,000. They've already added well over $1 million of equity from just not even from improving the thing, just like the operations were so effed up, they just improved the operations.
Yeah, and that's what a lot of people don't realize or understand. For those of you listening, watching, is land does not have great tax benefits. You cannot depreciate land. So like, Jazz Land does $5-10 million in a year or whatever. It's like I'm writing a huge check to the IRS, which is annoying.
It's horrible. Yeah. I always say like land's a great 0 to 1 business. Like there's like what I call a 0 to 1 business and 1 to 10 businesses.
Okay.
0 to 1 business is like high cash flow, not a huge startup cost, not a huge barrier to entry. But also, and you probably were one of the few exceptions, it's a really hard business to scale to multiple 8 figures a year.
Yeah.
Like, there's a real ceiling to it. Where like, let's say Facebook, hypothetically, or any social media, hard business to start. But once you actually get momentum, going from 1 to 10 and call 10 billions, like it's actually viable.
Yeah.
Right. Land doesn't have that. That's a separate point from the tax side of the land. But it's a great business to go and make your first $500K, $1 million.
Which people should do, right? Because why are you trying to save tax and do all this?
Yeah, you need to make money
without
you need to make money first. Yeah, and that's why I think the jumping off point is like, go get a solid, reliable stream of cash flow in a 0 to 1 business, park that into some kind of rentals or whatever it may be, and then eventually parlay your success into what I think is a better business model.
Yeah. And I think you can build real wealth doing that because you're not paying taxes legally.
Yeah, legally. I mean, the government says if you can create jobs or you can create housing, they'll cut you all the breaks in the world. So the 2 things they don't want to do. So just like think about that. Start businesses, buy rentals.
It always cracks me up, man, the haters, when it gets into like the political season, they start arguing over taxes. And when people just don't understand, like the tax code is literally the government's way to incentivize you to do what they want to be done.
Yeah, exactly.
Whether it's drilling oil wells, buying land, shoot, maybe one day they'll want more land developed and they'll give us some good tax breaks.
Yeah, we'll see. Hopefully, fingers crossed. But yeah, as it stands now, that's the dark side of land. Is I think there's a real glass ceiling to it for most people, especially if you're just in the traditional flipping model. You're kind of like a one of one, but there's not many folks that are really doing what you do. But if you're in the classic, I'm going to go flip 50 to 100 deals a year, I think there's a real glass ceiling on that business. Also, you're just going to get hit hard on taxes. And that's why like one of the easiest things to do before changing business models is move to Texas or Nevada or one of these 0 income tax states.
That's a good point.
That's why I moved to
Is
Las
that one of the
Vegas.
reasons
Yeah.
why?
Oh, 100%. I don't love Las Vegas. There's something about Las Vegas.
You and Joe Rogan and everyone else getting the heck out of California.
Get the heck out of California. And dude, the way I look at it is it's an easy arbitrage. You move 4 hours east and now I save 13%. I mean, California cuts you no breaks for running a business. Yeah, it's tough.
Plus Vegas, I mean, I don't know, San Diego's nice, but Vegas is cool too.
Vegas is cool.
Like,
yeah. The people, the social scene is weird. The people, like, it's a lot of NPCs, like kind of like zombies walking around. But like, there's some cool stuff you can plug into. I'm like the farthest west in Vegas. I'm literally the last street before the mountain. So I've got like mountain biking and hiking. But the actual, like, the scenery is pretty, which is despite what most people think, but the people are weird.
Yeah, and I know you're into the hiking, the fitness, all that. You took me on, that was probably, what, a 4-mile run last night?
That's right. We flew into town last night. We had been cooped up in an airplane in the car, sunsetting.
Even worse for you because you had to fly, and then you did that.
Yeah. Well, that's a tradition. Anytime I travel, I have to get a workout in right when I land.
Yeah.
So I just noticed, too, like, I just feel like over time, you just become aware of like what makes you feel good and what doesn't. And I know I'm just not the same person if I don't move my body. I'm very aware of it. If I'm like sitting all day, I feel like a not Sumner. So first thing we get here, we all get the crew together, we all run. I appreciate you doing it with us. Most people always say no. Most people have like this real distaste to running, but I think it can actually.
Well, I like the challenge. I mean, I think that's what makes us successful business owners is you see a challenge, you accept it, and then you figure out how to get it done. I don't think I've ever ran 4 miles in my life, actually. I did a 5K one time.
Yeah.
But I just do not like running. I like lifting and sports, like basketball is my cardio. But
that's what everyone says. I always tell people that like they run and they have the wrong pace. They run for too short of a distance where they never break that threshold and start feeling good. So I'm like, go with someone that knows how to run, pace yourself, and go longer than you expect, and you get hit with this like crazy feel-good sensation. Like, did you get a runner's high last night?
I did, and we were like kind of chatting and talking the whole time.
And you forget you're even running. You just kind of check out.
And we were along a dirt path. If you all needed to see this, really, it was a 2-track path through the Hudspeth County desert. And I'm surprised one of us did not sprain an ankle or tear an Achilles.
Running through like an old landing strip or something. All of a sudden it becomes paved. It's pretty cool.
Yeah. So you started in 2019. I started in 2017. So I feel like we've both been in this business quite a while. Did you ever buy like a course or anything?
I never bought a course. So
all self-taught.
I raw dogged it. I went through, I kid you not, I listened to every single Land Academy video. And I think they have over 1,000 videos. I just, every day when I'm driving, when I'm walking, when I'm working, I just have that plugged in. I just be listening. I had started a few businesses before, so I thought I knew more than I did. I knew jack shit about real estate. Like I should have taken a course, honestly. I just filmed a video about this last week. So the first year I did 59 dispositions and I think 62 acquisitions, right, in my first year.
Okay.
Looking back at over a majority of those properties were either landlocked, in flood zones, had a moratorium on building, or had the craziest topography you've ever seen. I didn't even know how to look at a map on Google Earth.
So you weren't even buying, what did you call, like quality or like, high quality piece of land?
Zero quality. The only litmus test for me was, does the person want to sell at a price that makes sense for my budget?
Yeah.
And my acquisition process was like, hey, I have this much money. Can I get them down to where I feel comfortable buying? ironically, on every one of those deals, I made money, but a lot of those deals was like, buy for 3,000, sell for 5,000, buy for 1,000, sell for 2,000. Like never any grand slam deals. There's a bunch of shitty deals. And some of those deals took 12 months to sell. I had no idea what I was doing. But then the third year into land, the only thing I've ever paid for on like the coaching side of things was I joined Clint Turner's mastermind my third year.
Okay.
But that was kind of pivotal for me just because like at that point I knew no one in land. I had no land friends. Mm-hmm. And I always wanted to be in a community or have friends that were doing this because I think you can relate to this. When you get into the business, dude, like if you like it, you really fucking like it. Like it becomes like a drug.
You get addicted to it.
You get the
sure.
land bug. Yeah. And so I lost a relationship over it in the beginning. I was so obsessed. I had no one to connect with. And so that was a pretty big turning point for me, just having other friends that were in land. And a lot of those people I'm still friends with today.
Yeah, and the land community is a pretty small.
Very small, very small. Very tight knit too. Everyone knows everyone. And that was like my final I kind of broke through and started meeting other people. And that's like the 4-minute mile thing. I started looking at other people's business and I'm like, wait, they're doing deals that I'm not doing and they're no different than me. Why can't I go and do that? So that really like set the tone for me. That was a big shift where we started going after multi-5-figure, low 6-figure properties when before I was going after a lot of buy for 5, sell for 15, buy for 5, sell for 20.
And I think you touched on it and kind of a little bit ago. That's like, I feel like a completely different business model.
Totally different business model.
Yeah.
Dude, there's so many ways to skin the cat in land. And frankly, like in land, it's never a question of will you make money? Like they all are technically profitable. I do think some are better than others though. Yes. Like there's I always think about like inputs to outputs. There are some models where you can put less input and get more output out of them. And some that's totally not true. Like my second year in land, we did 240 dispositions and over 300 acquisitions, all self-closing. So 500 plus self-closings. That's a horrible business.
Over one a day.
It's a horrible business, man. Like input-output relationship sucks. And so then you look at like where I was the next year and it's like I'm spending way less time on the whole business, but making substantially more.
Yeah. By the way, I forgot to announce this in the beginning. I am going to be giving away a free piece of land. You're going to be giving away a free piece of land at the end.
Yeah, I got
You're giving away a piece?
Yeah, I'll give away a piece.
You are?
I'll give away a piece.
Okay. Well,
you're giving the deal.
The deal was for you to give away my piece, but if you want to give away a piece too, we'll give away two.
Let's double it up. We'll give away 2 pieces.
Okay.
Make it fun.
I want to go back to, I guess we'll stay on this land topic. You'd mentioned like buying low quality land, let's say. You're probably paying a stupid low amount, $1,000, $2,000, $5,000 for a parcel, whatever. I feel like people, when they hear land investing or land flipping or like where I'm doing with the subdividing, they think that we're like working with developers or doing some paved roads or I see it all the time on like my content, my YouTube videos or Instagram. They see me out in like Hudspeth County, like desert land. That land's worthless, whatever. It's like, well, if you can buy a piece of desert land for $100 per acre and sell it for $200 or $300 per acre, you've just doubled or tripled your money.
Yeah.
So it's like
people don't understand price resolves everything, right? Like if you buy anything at the right price, like this stool might not be worth that much, but if I buy it at $1, I know I'm going to make money on it.
Back to your garage sale flipping days, I feel like that led into land before you even started.
Yeah, it's a good point. I always tell people land is very much like going to a garage sale. Like it's not like other real estate assets because people don't have this like extreme connection to it. They haven't typically lived on the land. If you live in a house, you have a different relationship to it. Like right now, I have a car that's been sitting in my driveway, a Ford Fiesta ST. It's been in my driveway for freaking a year and a half. I haven't driven it since then. Dude, I would love for someone to walk up and just make an offer on it. I would take half of what it's worth or less for the convenience, right?
Really?
It's the same thing with a garage sale. Like I have a bike that I know I spent $300 on. I want to fucking get top dollar for that thing. Offer me $100, I'm going to sell it to you.
Yeah.
I think land's very much the same. People are like, well, why would anyone sell it at a discount? Because they want the convenience of just getting rid of an illiquid asset. Like moving a car or a bike takes time. Same thing with land.
Or in your case or someone else's case, they're taking that car to like our Carvana or a CarMax. But in that case, I feel like we are almost like the Carvana or the CarMax. Like,
we are.
You know, they're coming to us for land and then we're buying it knowing that we're going to sell it and make money.
Yeah, we provide liquidity to a very illiquid asset. And some people just want the convenience. They want the fast closing. I always think a bird in the hand is better than 2 in the bush, like a sure thing of like, I will pay you this much. Because if you put it on market, you don't know what you're going to make. Yeah. A lot of sellers don't even know what the property's worth. So like saying I'm going to pay them 30 grand, they can sleep on that. That feels good to know that they've got 30 grand coming in for sure.
Yeah, it's crazy that they don't, a lot of times, like you said, don't even know what it's worth. Like,
but that's like, that is the defensible moat of land, like compared to houses, is land is so hard to determine what it's actually worth. And because every land has a subjective value because they're all different. Like that piece over there is hilly and your piece isn't. But what if it's the same size property? How do you value the hill on it versus the flatness of this property?
Yeah, true.
And then at the same time, there's just a lack of data out there. Like it's so all over the map. Maybe you're in a market where you have like one like kind comp, and then you've got a bunch of other comps that are kind of similar. And so it's hard for us to even underwrite what land's worth until you start doing deals in a market. It's like, then you know.
Yeah, I'm sure you've had stories where you call up people or they get a direct mail piece from you and they're like, I don't even know where the land is. Like, can you tell me where the land is at? Like, you're the owner, and I'm like sending them a screenshot like it's in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah, it's the same thing with realtors too. I'm like, hey, let's say you have one listing one for you, or you're trying to look at an on-market property. They don't even know how to get you to the property. They don't even know how to use coordinates. So a realtor hasn't been there, the owner hasn't been there. And again, I think that's the kind of like the defensible aspect of land. Like everyone, not everyone, but I've been hearing this lately from folks that think land is going to become like the next wholesaling of houses and that popular.
What do you think about that?
No, I think it will certainly become more popular. I think it's on an upward trajectory. But no, like houses are so much more in like the general pop culture than land will ever be. And it's really easy to value a house. Land is not easy. Like you don't have a situs address in most cases. Like if my neighbor's house sells, I know pretty much exactly what my house is worth. It's not true for land.
It's true. It's a good point.
I think like you have to deal with a lot more ambiguity in land, and some people hate that, and some people thrive on that. Like we get people that come from like house wholesaling or fix and flipping inside Leah. They make money, right? They do a couple of deals over whatever, 6 months, 12 months. Some just throw in the towel. They're just like, dude, I don't like this. Like I'm going back to houses because I like a sure thing. I'm like, dude, I love the ambiguity. I love the not knowing. And I just look at it myself as like, I'm just adjusting for risk. I never know what somebody's going to sell for.
And one thing that we do not have to contend with in the land business is like institutional people. Like there's no BlackRocks or hedge funds yet, at least.
There's not yet. This is actually a weird story. This is not on the scale of BlackRock. One of my biggest deals when I first got started was my second year in the business. I started going after slightly bigger deals. I bought over 12 properties in North Carolina. First time I used other people's money to fund them. I had a private equity firm.
What year was this?
2000, very beginning of 2021, January 2021.
A couple years ago.
I had a private equity firm buy that full package of a dozen properties in North Carolina. Weirdest thing ever.
For what? Do you know?
So our basis was in the low hundreds of thousands, 120, 130, something like that. They initially made us an offer at 400, and then we had every time we get to the closing table that day, drop the price. It took like 4 months to close the thing. I think at the end it was like mid 200s, so like not even that crazy video.
Thanks.
Still
They
crazy
got
at
you
the time.
down.
They got us down.
Do you know what they were using it for?
Dude, so here's the interesting thing. They went and relisted the properties at like max retail price. I checked last year, some of them were still listed. Wow. I don't know if they were land banking or what they were doing. One of the weirdest land disposition stories I've ever had. But there's very few people like that out there. They're out in Florida. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, you do got some folks I feel like now coming in buying up large swaths of farmland.
I think it's I think like that. I think that is a part of what's going on. I don't think that really drives much demand for the deals that we do, like the Bill Gates of the world buying huge properties.
Yeah.
But I feel like it's gotten land a little more like in the general pop culture. If you look up land on TikTok or homesteading, like way more popular than it used to be.
I always used to like to do a Google keyword search, just like buy land or whatever. And you see like right in 2020 when the pandemic hit and like 2021 just spikes up crazy. People are like, I want to own a piece of land and get away from everything.
And that's why I love rural recreational land. Like I hate infill lots. I just despise them. I know there's a business there to be had, but rural recreational land feels sturdy to me. I'm like, if the world goes to hell in a handbasket, like you want rural recreational land. There's way more utility to it, right?
Some people though have the exact opposite argument. They're like, that's going to be the first thing to go in someone's budget. Like the rural recreational land, people are not going to want to.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I mean, a property that can sustain you, that you can build a house on, that's kind of
little to no restrictions, probably.
Yeah, I'm like, I think, I mean, maybe if the world goes to hell in a handbasket, the restrictions don't matter anymore. But I think that's it. If you have a property that has a water feature on it, and you can have food on it and you can hunt on it, you're good.
And conversely, I would say if you have an infill lot, it's pretty much useless unless you're building on it.
One use case.
Yeah.
I hate that. I don't want to be boxed into what I can do with the land for dispositions.
So what's your favorite piece of land to buy then? Is it just that?
So my favorite piece, I mean, it's kind of classic. I would say anywhere between 20 to 50 acres. Usually we're pretty like everyone says like, well, I'm like 1 to 3 hours outside of a major metro. We're usually farther than that. Like we'll be in some places where a major metro is not, it's 12 hours away. I look for there's these little rural markets in the US. There's these sleepers, man, that have ungodly amounts of liquidity. Look at some markets in Wisconsin and New Hampshire. There's just these very ultra rural areas that for whatever reason, the supply and demand is way imbalanced. And there's like, it's not like it's a fluke. It's like a long-term trend. That's why we built Land Insights, is to go and aggregate all that data and find these weird little liquidity pools of rural markets. So in a lot of cases, I'm not even close to a city, and those are my favorite deals.
But that land you think sells pretty quickly.
Dude, I mean, inside Leah, the average days on market right now, which is like kind of a crummy time to be selling land, less than 60 days. And these are ultra rural properties. We use what we call a mid-market strategy. So our list prices are typically between $25,000 and $250,000. Those are properties that are big enough to use other people's money, and they have the most demand. As I start going up market, like the demand for $1 million properties falls off, and they're harder to acquire unless you're going to do value add and force appreciation. Hard to buy those things at 50 cents on the dollar, though, right?
Yeah, I think that 50 cents, the traditional Jack Bosch, Land Academy, 30 cents on the dollar. I think that still works, but at the very low
end.
Because we're offering that service, like you said, that convenience for them to offload it, that property. But who in their right mind is going to sell $1 million piece of land for $500,000?
It doesn't happen. So there's, I look at it like 3 layers, right? So like there's like the low end of the market where there's a lot less clarity on what land is worth. It's a little more discombobulated. The owners usually have more urgency, or they're more distressed. They need money more than people at the top end of the market. And we're dealing with smaller increments. So let's say I'm buying this thing at 50 cents on the dollar, but it's only worth 10 grand. That's only a $5,000 delta. If you have $1 million property and buy it at 50 cents, that's $500,000. Same percentage, but a fuck ton more money. The mid-market is the sweet spot. It's still reliably easy to acquire those deals between 45 to 65 cents on the dollar. We get a deal per every 2,000 letters on average. Like the yield from our marketing is really good. And those sellers, they're a little more savvy, but still there's a little more confusion there. But there's a ton of buyers on the other end for them, and they're big enough to use other people's money. The top end of the market, those people usually have no distress. Like they're not distressed. They have money. They know what it's worth. And you just can't buy it at the same discount. So we got to go in and get creative and do some stuff.
Yeah, and I like dropping gold nuggets here. I'd say the 2,000 mailer for a deal, you think that's pretty much the going rate nowadays? I mean, it used to be a lot less. Like I remember probably for those properties, I feel like it has gotten a little bit more competitive. Like back in the day, I feel like maybe 1 in 500 or more in 1,000. It's
so those
creeping up.
Those stats are different. Those stats are for like the classic Jack Bosch Land Academy deal. So like the classic buy for 3 grand, whatever, sell for 10. The stuff that we do, so inside Leah, the average gross per deal is about 18,000 to 22,000, depending on the land investor.
Okay.
$2,000 to get 2,000 mailers to get one of those deals, which costs us like $1,200 all in. The $1,200 in marketing spend, that's data and marketing to make 18, 20, 22 grand, something like that. So those deals, I mean, in fact, like over time, I've seen my yield with my marketing get better, which is interesting. I think it's just because our teams become better, we've become better.
Refining the processes and everything. Yeah, the systems.
But most new land investors, they don't know what they're doing. Dude, it could be one in 3,000 letters that gets them a deal.
Gotcha.
But it's like I always say, like there's 2 kind of ends of the spectrum. There's like how we select the markets, how we price it. Because so you got to do that part right. But you also
let's talk about that real quick. By the way, this is crazy. It's raining. It never rains in Cornudis, awesome. And it's decently raining out there. We'll see if this roof holds up. This new roof fix that we did. Identifying markets. I know you have a tool, Land Insights, but for the average person listening, we can talk about the tool for sure because I think it's powerful. But for the average person, like they see all the different markets. Like you can do this anywhere from everywhere. There's people doing this in California, in Michigan, in Texas, obviously. Like every 50 states across the country, people are buying and selling land. Yeah. Any type of real estate. Yeah. Anytime there's a market, there's an economy, you can buy and sell. Yeah. How do you identify a market for land? Like, what do you think are some of the best ways?
So I think it really depends on what we're looking to do. I always tell people, like in the beginning, you've got to pick your hero. Like pick who you're going to be as a land investor. Are you going to be a John Jasniak? Are you going to be a Sumner? Are you going to be a Jack Bosch? Like what's the model you're going after? Okay. That'll help determine how you should go about things. Like for you, I do think becoming intimately familiar with the markets you're in and knowing the codes is a real value add. Pun intended. Yes. But if you're me, actually the best thing I should do is go and hunt down where the demand is and leverage the fact that I can buy land anywhere. That's a luxury. If I'm a house person, it's not really something I can be afforded to do. So I should take advantage of that, right? And the biggest bottleneck with a business like mine, and for all the guys sitting here that do similar things to me, they can all agree on this, is the dispositions. Dispositions is by far the hardest part of land investing because our hands are tied, right? Like we don't really have that much control outside of where we list it and how we market it. And then that's it. We just kind of have to wait. So I always think about it's free to go find better markets. It doesn't cost me any more on the acquisition side. It doesn't cost me any more on the disposition side. So I want to go find markets that have typically anywhere between 25 to 250 properties actively listed. Okay. I don't want too small on the supply end of things because I'll talk about sell-through rates, but they can get all discombobulated. Too much supply, I'm sure you've seen this. Now you're on the 3rd page of the MLS, day 2, or land.com or whatever. Like, there's an internet marketing component to what we do to where you have to get eyeballs on your listing or you're screwed. Mm-hmm. A little different for you because you're running Facebook ads, but for us, like way above and beyond a majority is the MLS is where all of our buyers are coming. Okay, so that's the first thing. We got to make sure there's not too much supply there. We also have to ensure that the kind of land investor that we are, that market has that kind of land. So if I'm a rural recreational dude, why am I going and buying land in Phoenix, Arizona? There's not even demand for the kind of land I want to buy. We got to go and actually assess out of the sales in the last year or 2 years, whatever you want to look at, what's selling here. Is it kind of within my buy box? So if I'm a rural recreational guy, maybe it's 5 acres to a couple hundred acres what I'm going after. Okay, cool. The next thing we look at is what we call sell-through rates. So on a 30-day period, 60-day, 90-day, whatever, going out through 12 months, how many pieces that are actively listed are selling through in those periods?
Okay.
So we typically look for at least like a 15% sell-through rate monthly.
15% monthly.
So 100 properties actively listed, 15 properties selling through. You can find better markets than that. I mean, there's some markets where 100% of the inventory turns over every 90 days.
That's crazy.
That's crazy, right?
That's a lot of land
That's
sales.
a lot of land selling. And again, some of these places are sleepers, dude, and they're so out of the...
Let's drop, can you name one of those counties off the top of your head that you don't mind sharing?
Yeah.
Crazy high sell-through rate like that.
Yeah.
What do you think?
Can someone pull it up? What's the Vivas, Wisconsin? What's it called?
Somewhere in Wisconsin.
Somewhere in Wisconsin.
So for those listening.
Starts with a V. Can you look it up?
Okay.
Villas County. Villa. Villas County, Wisconsin. I don't know the exact stats. I just looked at it last week for the first time.
Okay.
Super rural market. No major cities, no major interstates going through it, no major national parks, no major anything. And yet I think it's well over 100% in 6 months of property selling through. And it's all rural rec land. It's all 10 to whatever.
It's probably pretty cheap too on a per acre basis.
Yeah. I mean, it's mid-market. So it's kind of right in our wheelhouse for what we like to go after. You know, high 5 figures, low 6 figures.
Okay.
I just sent mail there, so everyone don't mail it yet. I will dominate you on the acquisition. We got Jordan in the back. Jordan will take your lunch and take your deal. So yeah, that's a good example.
And what's crazy, talk on that real quick, is like people I think have this scarcity mindset a lot in land.
Yeah.
Like, I don't want you to know my county. You're gonna mail and take my deal. It's like the amount of money and mail and systems in place you would need to have me, for instance, to affect you and your business. Like if I were to mail that exact same county, you're probably gonna beat me because probably a better operator in that business model. Yeah. I don't have the team or systems in place to just like go and attack and like steal Sumner's deals. It's pretty dang hard to do that.
Very hard. And there's even beyond that, there's a whole component of like everything in marketing is timing. Like they always say it's a moving target, not a stationary target, right? So it's like at the right time, at the right place is when you get the response. So you might send a letter that hits the seller yesterday. Fuck, I'm gonna think about it. I hit them the next day and they're like, well, John warmed me up to the idea, but I'm calling this guy.
That's a good point.
And sometimes they just like my letter more. They like my price more. They call both of us and they like me more.
Or they open yours and not mine.
Exactly.
Or
that works in your favor and that works against you, but on balance, it nets out, dude. I can't tell you how many times I've marketed to the same county as 20 other Leah members and we all get different deals.
Yeah, that's crazy.
It's very interesting. But I really think that the secret sauce in this business, I always say this is a people business. It's a people business, in my opinion. How you treat your team, I think you need a badass team to do this at scale. Mm-hmm. And it's how you treat your sellers and your buyers. That's like the edge. Like if you're just a savage at building rapport and you can speak to land sellers, you're gonna dominate. I don't care what marketing channel you're doing. You could freaking cold call all day, you're gonna get deals.
Yeah, or if you're a good negotiator, being able to work with realtors and brokers and structure deals.
Yeah, it's so much like a who, not how business. Like you just gotta work the right people, be with the right people, and treat them well. And good things happen.
You had mentioned your team, which some of the guys are here today. I'm kind of curious, what does your team look like for this business?
In the land business or just in total?
Both. Let's do both.
Yeah, I should know the exact number. I think
because you have an education program and other stuff probably. So it's like
we have 3 businesses in total.
Okay.
Land Insights, a software company for land investors. Landinvestor.co or Leah, that's our coaching program, and then the land business. So all in, it's low 20s, maybe 22, 25. That's including a few contractors that won't be with us like for years. They're going to be with us for 6 months or 12 months. Like we've got some developers in the software business that are going to be with us. Yeah, I mean, they'll be with us like infrequently. They'll come in for a couple months and then leave. They're like little like assassins that we hire to help build out projects. But yeah, low 20s. That includes coaches on the Leah side. Land side, we've got Jordan. Jordan, do you know the number on the land side? Newman, Aries, Jordan. Edgar.
That's 4.
Sean. I think there's six people.
Okay.
6 or 7, yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
That's a pretty decent sized team and managing. I mean,
it's changed a lot too. I mean, just 16 months ago, I had 6 people that I was working with. So it's like 4x or 3x more so.
How do you because of course we both have the education programs and multiple businesses. Being a business owner, especially in the education space and doing real estate education and managing all the people, I guess, What do you feel about that? Like, do you like it? Do you not? Because I can't tell you how many times I've woken up, especially on the education side, and be like, just gonna shut it all down, live peacefully, not do a podcast, do none of this, and just travel around, hang out, and enjoy life. But it seems sometimes to be a roller coaster for me.
Yeah, well, maybe the education business it's a lot more complex on the fulfillment side because you're dealing with hundreds of people and their wants, their dreams, their aspirations, their limiting beliefs. Like they bring a lot to the table, both good and bad. Yeah, you deal with a lot of personalities, dude. Honestly, like it's my favorite business. Like I feel like I was built for it. Like I get so much. And dude, look, there's in any business you get hit in the face sometimes, but like I get so much energy from it that it actually makes me more excited for my land business. And I don't really talk about this much, but 2022. Had our biggest year in land, achieved a lot of like the superficial goals that I'd wanted to cross off, became a liquid millionaire, like all those things that I thought would make me happy. And honestly, I felt lower then than at any other point. And I just felt like, dude, land is kind of fucking meaningless, to be honest. It's a great way to provide for yourself.
It's kind of a commodity.
It's a commodity. You're just arbitraging a commodity. I'm like, I'm not really providing a service to the world. Yeah, the funders make some money. Yeah, maybe I help some sellers. But I just felt like dude, if I were to die the next day, like, when I just flip some land, it's not really a cool life.
Yeah, true.
And so I had a bit of a fulfillment crisis, dude. I started delivering meals to old people. I started doing Meals on Wheels. Like I wanted to feel like I was of some benefit to society. I always tell people, I'm not fucking Mother Teresa. I'm not changing the world through land coaching, but it's checked that box for me. And I think like, nice. I was desperate for it. I was like, I need water in the desert, man. Like I needed that. And I just felt like, in a lot of ways, like, I feel like, and then this isn't to get cheesy, but I feel like I was put here to serve. Like that's actually what I enjoy most. Both the people I work with in Leah and on our teams. Like nothing gives me more energy than
Would
that.
you consider yourself an extrovert?
Yeah, I'd say so. I do. I mean, I think everyone's a little bit of both. Yeah. There's times I need to decompress. Like after this weekend, I'll hold myself up for a couple of days and not see anyone. Yeah.
Yeah. No, that's cool. I could see how you very much strike me as like a people person. So I mean, getting energy and feedback from people, because coaching people, man, it can be tough.
It can be tough. I see that. And most people that I know that have coaching businesses say the same thing. Like, I think it's a hard way to make money. Like they're profitable, they're good cash flow businesses, but all things being equal, if I wanted to make more money, I should just hunker down on my land business.
Do you see yourself starting any other businesses?
Yes.
In the near future?
Yes, I have an addiction to starting businesses.
Oh, really?
Okay. Yeah, I do. It takes a lot of restraint to hold myself back. And one of the things, I just filmed a video about this as well last week. One of the things that I'm like, has been on my mind is I know if we're just talking about in a vacuum, pure progress, I should just be doing one thing. I'll go farther.
Yeah, focus and just.
But I don't give a shit about how far I go. Like at a certain point, why do I need more? I want to enjoy the ride. I love building things. I love that first 1 to 2 years where you have no fucking idea how you're gonna make the thing happen, and it's just like you're like in the dark, like touching walls. Like how the fuck do I get out of here? I love that, dude. I thrive on that. So yeah, there's a lot of businesses I want to create. They're all like this one big flywheel, right? It all feeds into land, but I have to hold myself back a little bit. So right now, I definitely have enough on my plate.
And you're a real estate professional, so you get it all rolled up, probably for tax purposes and.
Yeah, we're doing. So one of the things that we're working on like some, like if you look at it, it's a pyramid, some stuff that's like kind of a ancillary business under the existing businesses. We've got a bunch of improvements that we're adding to Land Insights that's releasing March 27th. This is our V2 launch. It's going to be bananas. That feels like starting a whole new business because it's so different than what we have now. And then we're releasing Leah 2.0. So we're redoing the program this year, and we're releasing a new program for building out acquisition teams.
Do you have any AI in either Land Insights or your business?
So we're adding some AI to Land Insights. We brought on an amazing guy named Kyle Martin. He actually was a Leah member. He builds autonomous vehicles. He's a robotics engineer. He's like one of the smartest people I've ever met. We didn't realize it, but Rylan and I and him were working on the same product simultaneously. He joined Leah last year in February, and for 6 months straight, he was working the same thing. He came into our mastermind. We kind of compared notes. We said, we're doing the same thing here. Let's buddy up. And frankly, what he had was better than what we had. Like Rylan and I are not developers. We had an idea, but this guy was on another level.
Well, because obviously nowadays AI is the huge craze. I've just kind of started dabbling with it myself just for like analyzing markets and stuff. And it's like, I'm not quite sure it's there yet.
Yeah, there's a few use cases. I think it's definitely, it's not at the point where it can make big boy decisions, but like we have a lot of people inside Leah that will go and pull zip code data. Okay. They'll go take that Redfin comp data, put it into ChatGPT, give it some prompts, and then they'll figure out like, oh, the median, like all the kind of data points on comps. And so like it does some like the grunt work. Like we call it, it's like It's like an assistant to a professor. Like it's not going to do the professor's work, but it can kind of be like a nice.
I'm just afraid though, man, that one day, because this is what I think about it. It's slowly creeping along right now. Then one day it's going to hit this like exponential point,
for sure,
and then it's going to take off. And then unless me, you, and whoever's listening to this has some sort of knowledge how to use ChatGPT, how to use AI, like it's just going to completely leave you behind.
I agree.
It's going to be like social media, like left a lot of people behind. Yeah. Not being able to use a smartphone. Yeah. But I think it's going to be like times 10.
I agree. I agree. Yeah. I mean, that's just technology in general. That's why working with someone like Kyle, who like is so seeped in this stuff, is a benefit to me because I got to know my strengths and weaknesses. I'm not a tech guy. I'm not gonna be the guy to know everything about AI, but can I find people and partner up with them? Yeah. That also, I do think when people zig, you can zag. Like in a world that gets more technologically advanced and sophisticated, being a belly to belly, hand to hand kind of guy actually serves you. You know,
100%.
I see you do that with buyers. Like that's actually a value to them that a lot of people aren't willing to do.
Yeah, the more that everything goes towards automation and AI, whatever, that's when I want to start picking up the phone and meeting with people.
We have a rule in our land business for the first 14 days that a seller reaches out to us, no automation. It's all manual email, manual text, manual phone call because people sniff that shit out. They don't like it. It's disingenuous. At a certain point, I think you have to throw it in. But yeah, I agree. Zig, zag.
There's a lot of traffic on that road right now. No, I 100% agree. I think... I don't know, we're going to have to see how this plays out with AI and automations and everything in real estate. Your land business, what, I guess, are you most excited about right now? Are you working on any massive projects, like big subdivides like we're doing, or entitlement plays? Like what we got going on that you're excited about right now?
Yeah, so it was very hot to try, as you know, about the entitlements. Jordan here can attest to it. It's been a whirlwind. Yeah. We removed the Brownwood deal. We've just been working on one.
Really?
Yeah. There wasn't a buyer on the other end for it.
Okay.
So one of the things.
What was the product there? Were you trying to get it done?
Yeah, it's I want to say it was 20 acres, turning that into 50 infill lots. Homes are selling through the roof. 90-day sell-through rate on homes. There was just no developer willing to take a swing at it. It's just too big. Like a lot of the developers were like, "Well, I'd buy one lot from you. I didn't want."
What about doing a mobile park there?
You'd have to rezone it.
Gotcha.
Yeah. There's also half of it's in an AE flood zone, which you can still develop in that, but it's just not a deal I want to sink our teeth into. Basis was low. It's a $90,000 deal. It's definitely as is worth $200. So I think it serves a better flip. Let someone else go and take that on.
Okay.
And we have a crazy entitlement deal. It's in North Carolina that we just decided to double close. It's like, it's so funky to entitle. I'm just like, double close it. Someone else is going to come in and take it. We've got it at 220, I think. We've got an offer at 350 or something like that.
Solid.
But anyway, so we've got the only entitlement deal that we're working on right now is in Augusta, Georgia. I could make a whole podcast about what that experience has been like, but it's 45 acres, Jordan? Yeah. 45 acres. It's technically like 51, but there's 3 lots. So that 6 acre, we're selling that off individually for 50, 60 Rand. Then we've got the 45 acres turning into 76 lots.
Jesus.
We're all in the project for $315,000. We had a crazy play, dude. So what we found out calling developers, which we've learned so much in this process.
Should have
done all of this in the beginning.
Well, just the Brownwood one, probably you learned a ton.
Oh,
and every project you learned something.
And this was our first real cradle to grave entitlement. Started calling developers, DR Horton, all these people. And all the same thing they said is like, and we'd rezone this, we'd create higher density, and your lots are too big. We're not interested in lots this big. So we're like, fuck. Well, we don't want to rezone this. We buddy up with this guy, David, out of Florida. He's like, no, in Georgia, there's a 40% open space rule where if we save 40% of the land for open space, we can double the lot count. Okay, that's exciting. It's actually really easy to do. Don't need to rezone it. Now the other people are interested. Only problem is we have this crummy access off of a road from another subdivision that the traffic's gonna be too high to create 140 lots. So like, fuck, what are we gonna do? Well, there's like this main county road down here, and there's a big vacant commercial lot.
Okay.
Oh, well, what if we bought that lot and did a boundary line adjustment? So we start skip tracing. I'm like, it's unlikely we get a hold of the guy. We get a hold of the guy. He's got that thing listed at 390.
So he's already trying to sell it.
He's been up for like 6 years or something crazy. We hit him at what, 200? No, 250 was eventually. What did we hit him with initially? 220 is what we hit him initially. He initially said yes, right? Then he double backed on it. Ended up getting us up to 250. So we were going to buy the thing, do the boundary line adjustment, create access off there. There's a bigger 8-inch water line on that main road that we're going to run up to the property, create 140 lots, then go and sell that thing off individually. That was a play. It's going to add hardly any more work in the entitlement process. We just got a call last week. He's backed out.
No.
He's backed out.
Why?
And so his lawyer.
Does he want more money or what?
I don't know.
Because in that case, I feel like you could always just give them more money.
We could give them more money. 250 was already pretty close to what it's worth retail, and I'm willing to lose a little bit on that deal because obviously we're going to double the lot count. But it's been really interesting calling and talking to all these developers. There was just not as much demand as I thought.
I hate working with developers.
Dude, and they want to give you the worst terms on earth.
Exactly. That's
Sit
why I
tight
refuse.
for 12 months, which is horrible.
We'll give you no money for an option. Just do whatever we want with the property.
So what we should have done is started with the end in mind, guaranteed ourselves a buyer, said this is what we're doing, are you interested? And then did the entitlement work. So now we put it on market, we're just selling it as is. So we're in whatever, 315, we'll probably sell it at 600, 650 for all 3 lots. Okay. So a decent flip. Shitty entitlement process. So that's been a whirlwind. Anyways, the deal that I'm most excited about right now is actually a new market I've never worked in for a subdivide. I've done flips there. It's New Hampshire, it's Merrimack County. We've got 75 acres up there. Can turn it into 15 5-acre lots, 2-sided road frontage. We can create a private road off of it to subdivide off of. Buying it for $4,200 an acre. Yeah, it's like the low 300s. Owner finance, you'd love this.
Let's go.
20% down, 7% interest, 20-year amortization, 5-year balloon. And subdivided is 5 acres, is probably worth 10 to 12K an acre.
Okay, so like a double.
It's like a solid double,
maybe a little bit
but
more.
with only 60 grand going into the deal. Yeah. And our inventory just flies off the shelf there.
Whatever happened, you did that one deal close to DFW, right? That you were wrapping the notes. Did that ever transpire?
We did. So we did a note wrap in Melam County. Maybe this one.
Okay, yeah.
So at Melam County, we got 36 acres, chopped it up into 3 12-acre lots. Our down payment, and that was 40. We had an offer last week to buy the whole thing with a note wrap setup. So they were going to put 60 grand down, and it's going to be about $600,000 in total with interest.
Okay.
It's a pretty sweet deal. And they were going to create what were they going to create, Jordan? Tree farm. And then they backed out because the water line's too far away.
Water out in Texas.
Tough, especially in Melam County.
Yeah, rural Texas, it's tough to deal with those water lines.
But the numbers will shake out to be the same, even if we sell them individually, probably be similar amount.
A tree farm. What's the craziest thing you've ever seen someone put on a land?
That's a
piece
good
of land
question,
or do?
Man.
For me, I think it was probably, I had a guy in West Texas do an underground bunker setup.
That's interesting.
Like prepping type stuff, you know?
Oh man, that's a good question. I don't know about the most interesting. We've had some people do like some grow ops, which is always interesting. One of the weirdest situations, I had a deal, and as one of the early deals, small little property out in, it's east of Costilla County. I can't remember the name of the county, Pueblo County.
Okay.
In an old HOA, and this dude hauled out everything he owns. This is an owner finance situation. Literally everything he owns out of a storage locker and just threw it on the property and just left it there.
This is my storage locker.
Yeah, and I still get calls from them, and just a lot of weird shit like that. We've had a lot of people build like crazy, like I call them Mad Max structures, like the most rickety, weird house, like corrugated metal with like old fucking wood they find. It's just like crazy looking structures. I don't know about the craziest thing though, like literally the craziest use case.
You could, that's the thing with land though, is you could do a million different things with it. You've probably seen it all. Last time we were out in Andrews on my subdivide, some dude was out there living in a tent. The wind was so strong that it like destroyed the tent. Yeah. And he had like a washer machine out there in the desert, and he was like trying to clear his land with a little riding mower, John Deere tractor. Some of these things get wild, man.
It's a funny demographic. That cheap rural recreational owner finance land, you deal with some of the funniest people you'll come across. Characters, man.
Do you carry a lot of notes? Are you owner financing a lot?
Well, from my early days, we have. It fluctuates a good bit, but 25 to 35 grand a month of note income. But we don't really create that many notes anymore. It's probably like 20% of the deals we do. Okay. But in the beginning, it was 80% of the deals we did. So we're just selling tons of owner finance inventory.
So you're offloading for cash, utilizing mostly MLS.
Mostly MLS. Most of our buyers buy cash, but every year we still add $750K to $1 million in note value. Okay. Probably 15K, solid. 20K a month of additional.
I think that's one of the biggest things that a beginner can do. Is it's so easy, in my opinion, to put on 100,000 in notes. Yeah. Just like, quick. That's what, probably 2, 3, 4 grand a month in payments. Like, boom, instantly you got a 6-figure business with passive income coming in monthly. I think that should be everyone's goal starting off in real estate.
I think the trouble that I have with that model, and this is what I ran into, and it's a little different because you're using leverage, I guess, to some extent, but like, I could never grow beyond my cash flow. So like if I wanted to make a big hire, if I wanted to scale my marketing, I was capping every month. I only have 20 grand coming in, you know what I mean?
You sell some notes.
You sell some notes, which I never did. I've actually sold one in my whole career recently. But like I like the big cash flip model because we go get big liquidity pops, 100K, 50K. We have folks that come in, their first deal makes them 200K. that fucking changes your life. And
Yeah,
now
it's
you can scale your marketing. Actually, I thought you were going to ask me, like, hey, what's your favorite deal? Maybe you were going to ask me. I'll just share it.
Let's go.
It's a very weird deal. It's not what anyone would expect, but it's kind of in the same vein of what you said. This deal changed my life. It was in Alamosa County. It's Deer Valley subdivision or something like that, right outside of Alamosa.
Okay.
There's 3 units of it. Unit 1, Unit 2, Unit 3. Unit 3.
This is Colorado.
Colorado. Yeah. Unit 3, I think there's a ban on ever drilling a well, so they're less valuable. When I was first getting started, I did a lot of portfolio deals. So I'd go buy 50 properties at once. And I call them defunct subdivisions. These old shitty subdivisions that just never.
You see those all over the country.
All over the country, especially in the Southwest and parts of the Midwest. They're everywhere. I found this guy who had 36 properties in Unit 3 of Deer Valley Acres. And I made him an offer. I think I bought it for 15 or 16 grand. Closed through title. One of my first title closes. I was so scared. It seemed like so much money at the time, And that alone, if you factor in defaults, maybe over $300,000.
Jesus.
And added $4 grand a month of income. And that was dude.
How early was that in your career though? Was this really starting off? Or
so this end of 2020, beginning of 2021, somewhere around there.
Okay, so you were probably a year and a half or maybe 2.
It's about a year. It's about a year in. I mean, I got into land in 2019, in the summer of 2019, but I didn't get my first deal done until January of 2020. There was a huge latency, which I didn't know what the fuck I was doing. Dude. I'm handwriting note. I mean, I was doing everything wrong, my journey is not what anyone else's should look like. It's so slow. I made so many mistakes. And this is not a pitch for John and I, but dude, spend money on education. It is literally, it just fucking cut the learning curve in half. This is why we offer 110% money back guarantee. TM, this isn't a pitch, but it's a no lose proposition. Invest in yourself. Don't waste time trying to figure it out.
Nowadays, there's a lot of folks like myself and you though too doing YouTube content, and it's getting pretty dang deep. It's getting better and it's getting very detailed where people actually talk numbers.
But this is the thing, everything we teach on YouTube or even in a course, I always tell people it's in a vacuum. What I do looks perfect, and then you get a deal, you're like, well, fuck, this is different, this is different, this is different. I don't know. He didn't cover this one point that I don't know how to handle.
Real estate varies very much.
And that's why I think coaching is important. So inside Leah, we call this, we have a feedback loop. We call it learn, implement, coach. So when you come into Leah, you go through the course, you're learning. We have homework assignments at each step of the way. So now you're implementing, and then you get coached on the work that you've done. So we review your work, review your markets, review your deal. And that way, you remove a lot of the risk from it. We can create that feedback loop where it's okay, you're getting better. And we can unpack some of the roadblocks that you'd run into. Yep. But most people, a guy like me, the feedback loop was the market. I go send mail and hope something good happens, and more times than not, something good didn't happen, and I learned from that.
There's nothing worse either than as a beginner trying to do direct mail and you're blasting out. You just go straight in for 5,000 or 10,000 letter pieces and you get nothing back or a bunch of hate calls.
We have a guy who joined us last January. His name is Andy Barlow. Super cool dude. He's a pastor out of Colorado. He joined another land program. I won't name them, but there's a lot of fucking shitty land programs out there. You take throw a dart at the board. These guys, they're not even operators. They don't even run a land business themselves. They want to teach methods from 10 years ago. And they seem like they don't give a shit about people's progress or success. This group had them send out 40,000 neutral letters. It's a husband and wife team. 40,000 neutral letters, 0 deals. 0 fucking deals.
40,000.
He put his life savings in that.
Probably 15, 20, 25 G's.
25 grand with data and everything included. He came to Leah. We went through a CRM. We were able to convert a couple deals, but within 3 months, he was doing 25, 30K a month and sending 3,000 to 5,000 mailers a month.
That's a great success story.
Being a sniper. We get folks literally every month to hop on a call with Justin, who's our gatekeeper for Leah. And dude, every month there's a horror story where someone's put their life savings either into deals that haven't sold or mail that they got no deals from. We had a guy put 100 grand into mail and get no deals.
Jesus.
I'm like, dude,
I'm almost thinking how's that even possible?
How is that even possible? It's possible from a few ways. I think mainly it's not a marketing problem, it's a sales problem. You don't know how to talk to sellers, underwrite deals.
Well, you sent out 100,000 pieces of mail. You have, I don't even know, thousands of leads coming in, depending what sort of letter you send and whatnot. But
we see inside Leah, I mean, it depends how good
you need
you
a
are
whole call center to handle it.
You need a whole call center. And that's the thing. Guys get hit with a tsunami of leads and they drop the ball. They don't call people back because they're too busy.
Yeah.
That's why I love blind offers when you start, because it's very much a sniper process opposed to just dumping mail on people.
But I think people also have a fear though, they're afraid to pick up the phone.
Oh, so
they're
scared.
beginner,
so scared.
How am I going to talk to the seller? How am I going to negotiate?
You bullshit your way through is what you do. Yeah. You just got to fucking wheel and deal, baby. You just got to pretend like you belong there. I used to get so scared when I talked to big property owners. I'd be petrified. I'm like, how the fuck do I belong on this call to buy a $200,000 property? You just got to BS it. But I find there's 2 avatars in land. There's the guys that are good at schmoozing but horrible at the data side. That's me. There's the people that are great at data and fucking scared to pick up the phone. Terrified.
Introvert versus extrovert.
Exactly. And you can make both work, but you do have to level up a bit in the area of your deficit. You don't need to be a pro in it, but get a little bit better. But dude, I honestly think there is one skill to identify and land that's going to make you successful is getting good at talking to strangers. Getting good at talking to strangers and being able to sit in the discomfort of negotiating. Most people, honestly, they pussyfoot around negotiating. They don't actually say the number that they want to buy the deal at because they're scared they're going to get rejected. Or they say the number, the person says, what the fuck are you talking about? And they're like, okay, well, I'll do it at a higher price. You don't get baller, crazy slam dunk deals from mail, typically. It happens. Sometimes you just send an offer, it's 10% of what it's worth and someone signs. That's fucking rare. You get them by finding out the seller's need and making an offer around that and not giving up. That's how you get the crazy deals. Otherwise, you just don't get them.
And you're going to be told no, but it's, it's very much a numbers game.
Yeah. Jordan, how much do you get told no? We're in the business of getting told no, dude. If you can't handle it, you're in the wrong business.
And I don't know about you, at least for me, working with counties, working with people, working with attorneys, realtors, like is just outside of land and outside of real estate is just obviously built life skills, like how to go talk to people wherever, maybe I'm trying to get my car fixed or something, like negotiate a price on that or, whatever. It's like you just learn through your business life skills and,
They're all interrelated, dude. Everything. I always say how you do one thing is how you do everything.
Yeah.
If you're a shitbag and you walk past dishes and you don't wash them, you're going to be a shitbag in your business. Like you got to show up in all areas. I think the business educates you on life and vice versa.
I like it, man. I think maybe we leave it there and we do this land giveaway.
Okay,
we got Brian, bring my laptop. What I did is compiled a list. I like to do these live with the social proof, and so we let's see here. We literally have this.
There you go.
This list. We'll show the camera. It's an Excel spreadsheet. As you can see, there was
how many people we got?
520 because. It was so last minute, man. We tried, we put this all together. This is the first one, obviously. So in the future, these will balloon to probably several thousands. But these people have a better chance of winning. And so literally all I do is I come over to Google, which of course, can you grab my mouse right there, Frankie? Or give it to Brian, have him run in and take it because my mouse is jacked up on this thing. All I do is I go to Google random number generator and click generate. Okay. And whatever number pops up is we go to that Excel row, and that's the name, email, phone number of the winner.
All right.
So I'm giving away 1 acre in Cochran County, Texas. It's worth anywhere from $1,000 to $1,500, and it's one of those old subdivisions. Someone went in and did a defunct subdivision, cranked hundreds of acres down to 1 acre lots. Yeah. No utilities, no nothing. People watching this podcast, what are people going to do and buy that for? It's useless. It's useless. No,
it's useless.
It's $1,000 to $1,500. Someone's going to go out there, camp. They're going to be able to call themselves a landowner. Yep. That's going to make them really happy.
So let's do a double. We'll do 2 generations.
Okay.
We'll sweeten the deal. I'll throw in a 1/4 acre lot in Costilla County. Same story, defunct subdivision. It's close to the river. Probably worth $1,000 to $2,000 depending on the day.
Let's do it, man. I appreciate that. Yeah. So I want you. Well, I'll do the honors for mine. You can do the honors for yours. All right, so we're doing drum roll. We're gonna go, boom, generate. Oh, I set my max to 10. It's gotta be to 520. Sorry, person number 2. 1 to 520.
All right.
Generate. 169. So we'll go up to that part of the Excel spreadsheet. We have a Maria Canales. Maria.
Congrats, Maria.
Congrats. You got 1 acre of land in Cochran County. And what I do is I'll give you a call, give you a text, and we send a deed off to the county for you and record it. So Sumner, use the mouse because my computer is jacked up, but we're going to go number 2. We're just going to hit generate. Get that mouse up. Boom. 243. All right. Let's go to this Excel spreadsheet and see who.
What's going on with this?
240. Yeah, I dropped it or spilt water on it and it got destroyed, my mouse. 240. Tracy.
Dude, we got some ladies in the house.
Tracy Matthews. Yeah, because there's not a lot
That's
of.
the name of my stepmom. I don't think it could be her.
Could it be Sumner's stepmom who saw his ad for the podcast and joined my land giveaway list, Tracy Matthews.
That's funny.
That's crazy. Yeah. All right, man. Well, I super appreciate you coming on. Thanks for coming in from Vegas. If you ever need anything from me,
we'll be back. We'll have to do this again.
Yeah, we'll do it round 2 after the podcast.
Maybe we'll have to flip it. This is not a shameless plug at all, but I am releasing kind of a different style of a podcast called the Raw Land Podcast. We'll have to get you on it.
Let's do it, man.
Let's do it. Thank you, brother.
Appreciate it.
Always a good time.
Thank you, guys.